So I started a medical device company, and the problem that we aimed to solve initially was continuous monitoring of nutritional, intake, and specifically for eating disorder patients. And so that was the problem we were solving. And, there was a lot of research that went into determining, is this a big enough problem? Is this important enough? Speaking to hospitals and seeing how much money are you guys losing? Realizing that every hospital is losing a different amount of money. Can we average these numbers? Can we figure out how important is this? How much money is spent on these patients? How much can we charge for these devices? Is it a good business model? How much is it going to cost us to develop these things, right? We went through the whole model, and all of that kind of goes into, not just what problem are you solving in terms of, is this important, is this enough, but also saying, hey, is the whole business model going to fit together? If this is going to cost us, $300 per device, it's like, and they're only going to pay $250 per device, this isn't a good business, right? And we got our costs down to it was like $2. It was so cheap. And because it was such a big problem and these hospitals were losing so much money, nursing homes were losing money, being able to monitor these patients outside of the hospital to wear these patches when they get home, where they're most susceptible to another infection, was the really big market for us. And so, I think a lot of times when you're solving these problems and finding these businesses that have important problems, it's a really long journey up front, because you're pretty much trying to get through some sort of breakthrough, something, you're solving a problem that hasn't been solved yet. If you don't have a problem that is really important and needs to be solved, then the whole business model doesn't fit together from the very beginning. You will waste years of your life, and those problems will always continue to show up later on, right? It's like getting into a relationship. If you're not looking at the fundamentals of the person, it's going to pop out later, and it's only a matter of time before it does. And business works the same way. There are some fundamental principles that you have to follow when it comes to business, and if you do, the end is almost promised, right? But it's the risk is more upfront. The capital is upfront. The testing is upfront. The development, whatever it's a prototype or a service or a software, whatever it might be, all of that risk is upfront. But once you de-risk that upfront, whether that takes 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever amount of years it takes, the business tends to be pretty sustainable, and your competition tends to stay really low, because the barrier to entry into that business was already so difficult. You probably are going to have some proprietary aspects, and once all those things fit, you have a really good sustainable business. So you could take a small market, and then if you come up with something really great and it's the only solution to this problem, and you have 100% of the market because it's such an important one to them, then that's a great business, right? And then finding out the costs and finding out how are we going to implement this? What is it? Do they have the money? Is this covered in any sense? Those are the types of questions you want to vet out really early and upfront, and figure out, is this a good business? Is this something that really solves a problem? Because I'll tell you, I've seen so many businesses that come out just from passion, and those can only go so far. They can only grow so far. And I have passion businesses too. I do them because I'm passionate about them, but I don't do them for the money. And that's the difference here, is that when you're starting a business because you want to make money, you want to get acquired, you want a good exit, you want all those things, you have to make sure you start at that problem. And you have to make sure that business model fits together. It's the most important thing you're gonna do, and then you don't have to worry about those things later on. And I went into labs at, I go to Columbia, so I went to labs at Columbia, and I started speaking to professors and asking them questions, trying to get them to help me. And their first initial is like, who the hell are you? And get out of my lab. This is proprietary. You're not allowed to just barge in here. But once they see that the problem is important, some of the smartest people are so passionate about their fields that they want to get involved. And so when I say I spent $0 on labor in this business, I spent $0 on labor. Zero, none. And we had some of the top scientists in the world helping us. We had some of the greatest doctors from UCLA, from Harvard, from Columbia. They were all on our team. And I spent $0 on labor because everybody wanted to be involved, and they wanted their name on these, if we were going to publish papers, if they, whether it's on the website, just to be involved and build their own credibility, But if you come to them with a silly problem that's not that important, you're not going to get good talent. You're not going to get the help you need. You're not going to get the investments you need. I got donation. I didn't even give out any equity. I got pure donation in this business. Somebody handed me cash because they were like, I want to see this thing come through. And those are the types of businesses that get the help. So it's not just a matter of going out there and working so hard. I actually think sometimes it's doing the opposite, and it's just, do the work up front and just do the thinking, and then it'll come along. Like the pieces kind of come together. You don't have to force something that works in the market. The economy's not that stupid to like be accepting dumb ideas. Like you have to come up with something that's good, and the market, the labor, the talent, the investment, everything else will follow through. But it's the seed. The seed has to be healthy. And if it's not healthy, no matter how hard you work, it's not going to work.